Sunday afterward. I'm here every Sunday except for one a month. So my Sunday not to be here in December will be 25th, and my Sunday not to be here in January will be the 1st. They have to be back to back. So it will be 3 weeks before I see you again, let the cheer arise. I just want you to know what a blessing you have been to me and how honored I am to walk with Westside Church through this season of transition in your congregational life. I do wish you a very Merry Christmas. Pray that you have a wonderful opportunity to join family and friends to remember the great gift that God has given us and to give each other some pretty good gifts as well. Merry Christmas. When Jeremiah wrote the book of Lamentations, things were not going well for God's people, the Israelites. An invading army from Babylonia had destroyed the temple. They had laid waste the promised land. They had carted off all the best, brightest, and healthiest of the people to be resettled back in Babylonia. In Lamentations, Jeremiah cries out to God over all that has been lost. It's a desperate book. It's a sad book. But it's also a book of hope. Because as Jeremiah cries out, he expresses his hope that God will still come to the aid of his people. Jeremiah had a hope that no matter how bad things have gotten, no matter how far down things have gone, there is a God who is and Jeremiah foresaw what was going to become a great reality later on. There is a God of resurrection. There is a God who gives new life where there has been none. And so, as Jeremiah writes Lamentations and grieves over all that's been lost, he holds out this wonderful ray of hope, and he gives this call to the people in Lamentations chapter 3, verse 40. He says, "Let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord." Self-examination has always been a vital part of the spiritual life. The examination that Jeremiah calls his people to is not just for individuals, but it's for the whole group of God's people. I would suggest that one of the things that God's people need to do periodically is to do exactly this. Let us examine our ways and test them. Let's return to the Lord. The same kind of examination is what Jesus does to the 7 churches in Asia in the book of Revelation. He praises them for the positive things that are going on among them, for the things that are worth celebrating and enjoying and thanking God for. But he also just as clearly calls them out for things that are not as they ought to be. A few weeks ago, we asked you to participate in a congregation-wide survey. The purpose of that survey was self-examination. And we had an amazing response. 241 of you filled out that survey. Either that or 100 of you filled it out and 141 of you filled it out twice. I'm not sure which. Now, 241 of you filled out that survey. It's an amazing response rate. In the spirit of self-examination, I want to take some time this morning to look at the results of that survey. Now, I do not have time this morning to go through. There were hundreds of comments that were left. There were several questions that were open-ended, questions asking for a response, and there were hundreds of responses to that. And I can't even begin in the short time we have allotted to us to respond to all of those. But our leadership has those comments, and we'll be going through those very carefully, giving great thought and prayer to all of those. But I'm going to be giving an overview, and I'm going to be throwing out a lot of statistics this morning, and I don't know how that strikes you. Some of you get really pumped about statistics. You go, "Oh yeah, man, give me the statistics." And others of you are looking to see if you can turn to another channel because statistics are just not your thing. And still others of you are going to be overwhelmed by the statistics. And I just want to remind you that according to a recent study that was done here at Cal State Bakersfield, 86% of all statistics are made up on the spot by people who need to do the or not. At any rate, I want to begin by asking a question that I've been asked several times. I was asked that again just this morning. Is there hope for Westside? And specifically, how does Westside stack up against other churches? Other churches that have gone through this kind of transition. Other churches that I've worked for in walking with them through this kind of transition. And there is a worry and a fear that's out there that's expressed by that question. Is there hope for Westside? Now, my job is to speak truth to the churches that I serve. And I have attempted to speak truth to you here at Westside, and I will be attempting to speak truth to you again this morning. And part of the truth is that Westside is facing some formidable challenges. And it is very important how we respond to those challenges. But I want to begin this morning with a very important truth, and that is this, that Westside is a good and a strong church made up of people who love one another and who love the Lord. And although you face some formidable challenges, there is ample reason for hope and for optimism. Most of the challenges, if not all of the challenges we face, are challenges that are common to churches in our brotherhood and have been common to the churches that I have served. And I would say this, of the churches that I've served, Westside is among those churches that has the most in the way of resources that you have to draw on in dealing with those challenges. You have amazing resources. You are still of a good size. You have what I would call critical mass. You have plenty of people here who can join together and turn to the Lord and be used by Him to reach out and to have a renewed sense of life and outreach. You have a united leadership. Not every church that I've worked for has had a united leadership. Let me tell you, the whole process is infinitely harder when there is division in the leadership. But your leaders here love one another, care about each other, love this church, care about this church, and stand united, and that is a huge asset. This is a congregation of people who love this church. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And so I will tell you that while you have challenges, there is great reason for hope and for optimism. And the greatest reason for hope and optimism is that we serve a great God who has not forgotten about Westside. And don't forget, folks, His name is still on the building. He has not forgotten us, and He will be faithful if we continue to turn to Him. So with that said, let's just dive into this thing and ask, who are we? Who are we demographically? We are a church of families. 81% of you who did the survey are married. How does that compare with the community we live in? Only 57% of the people in Bakersfield are married. We stand at 81. We are a much higher rate of married couples among us. Of those who are in households, a third of you have children who are living in your home. That's a little bit lower than the percentage in Bakersfield, but not terrible. We are a stable group. Over 80% of you have lived in this community for over 10 years, and 60% of you have lived in this area for over 20 years, and about 30% of you actually moved to Bakersfield shortly after the crust of the earth cooled. We are educated. 90% of you have at least some college work. The figure for Bakersfield is 52%. When it comes to degrees, about twice as many of you have bachelor's degrees as the population in Bakersfield, and about twice as many of you have graduate and professional degrees as the population in Bakersfield. Significantly more educated than the community. We are white. 90% identify as white or Caucasian. Figure for Bakersfield is not quite 90%. 65% identify as white or Caucasian. There is a big difference. Now, you got to understand the Census Bureau does not consider this next category, does not consider it a race, it considers it an ethnicity. But when we talk about Hispanic population, there is a huge difference, and I don't have to tell you this, you can just observe this. Huge difference between Westside and your surrounding community. 6% of you at Westside identify yourself as Hispanic or Latino. 33% of the population of Bakersfield identifies itself as Hispanic or Latino. That's a pretty big difference. What's our character? We are old. I have to tell it, and I'm just part of that group. We are made up of older people, and here's the breakdown of ages of those who filled out the survey. Just about a fourth of the adult population of Westside is under the age of 45. And then there are these two huge slices of the pie, people who are 45 to 64 and people who are 65 plus. How does that compare with our community? Well, take a look. Here's a comparison of age groups. In this chart, the blue bars are Westside, the red bars are Bakersfield, and you'll see that in the 18 to 24 range and in the 25 to 44 range, that red bar towers over the blue bar, which means there's a lot larger percentage of people in those age ranges in Bakersfield at large than there is at Westside. But then when you get down to the end of the scale, the 65 plus, you see that that blue bar towers over the red bar, which tells us what? That we are largely overrepresented by people who are at 65 plus as compared to the community that we live in. What do we do about that? Well, none of us can get younger, can we? And I'm not recommending that anyone die off anytime soon. So we just deal with that as a reality, but we understand that that is a reality. Next question, who are we as a church? Several answers to that. Most obvious, we are a church of Christ. 2/3 of you were raised in the churches of Christ. There's only one church that I've worked with that's had a higher percentage of people who were raised in the church of Christ, and that church was right smack dab in the heart of the Bible Belt. You're not in the heart of the Bible Belt. Well, I think Bakersfield might be in the Bible Belt. I think you're a suburb of the Bible Belt, Bakersfield. I tell people, because they go, oh, you're going out to California. I said, yeah, but Bakersfield really isn't California. It's a suburb of Oklahoma. Amen. But 2/3 of you were raised in the churches of Christ. That's a high percentage. And when you were asked, why did you come to Westside, the number 2 answer right after, well, I knew people who attended here. The number 2 answer was, I came here because it's a church of Christ. And you guys value your heritage in the churches of Christ. You have been trained and formed and shaped by good and faithful people in the churches of Christ, and that is your identity. And growing right out of that, because you are a church of Christ, we are theologically conservative, as you would expect. 98% of you say that the Bible is the authoritative book. 95% of you say that it is the Word of God and that it has the answer to all the basic questions of life. 96% of you agree that Jesus Christ is the only way, that faith in Jesus Christ is the only way to salvation. 98% say that the resurrection of Jesus from the dead is an actual historical event. And that's really good, because that's what you have to believe to be a Christian. Okay, just humbly speaking. Okay? But 98% of you agree with that and affirm that. An overwhelming majority of you believe that baptism is essential to salvation, though I have to tell you that that overwhelming majority was not as overwhelming as I think it would have been if we had asked the question maybe 20 or 30 years ago. I think there is a little bit of softening in that position, especially among churches of Christ. We are dedicated and loyal to this congregation. Half of you have been members of the Westside Church for over 20 years. Half of you. Pretty amazing, huh? And another fourth of you have been members here between 10 and 19 years. you've got longevity, you've got staying power. More than 4 out of 5 of you say that you are either a committed member, a core member, or a leader in this congregation. That same percentage, 80%, say that you attend church here 4 times a month or more, and that you are involved in at least one ministry outside of attending worship services and Bible classes. Those are wonderful numbers, and talk about a dedicated and committed group of people. There are more of you who say that your involvement in the church has increased than those of you who say that your involvement has decreased over the last few years. Just the fact that there was such a huge response to the survey tells me that you care deeply and passionately about this church. And the huge volume of comments in those open-ended questions. And as you read through those comments, which again, I wish we could, but as you read through them, these are comments from people who care and who want this congregation to succeed and who are passionate about this congregation and about its future. And I really appreciate being with a church that has that level of commitment, dedication, and passion. This church is generous. There's a question on the survey about how much, at what level your household supports the church financially. There were 8 categories, beginning with 0 and going up to, I think, $7,000 or more a year. The number one response was that top category, $7,000 or more a year. There are more of you who give at that level than give at any other of those 8 levels. And half of you say that your giving to Westside is regular and either generous or sacrificial. It's a generous congregation. This congregation is a loving fellowship. There's a question where we gave you a bunch of statements to either agree with or disagree with, statements about the identity of the church. And here were the top statements in that list. I have a strong sense of belonging to this congregation. That was the top statement in that list of agree or disagree statements. The second one was, being in this church has made a significant and positive difference in my spiritual life. That was the number 2. And then, in another question that also asked you to agree or disagree with number of statements, the top one in that was, members of this church help each other out in times of trouble. This is a congregation that is a tight-knit and loving fellowship. Over half of you say that several of your closest friends also attend, either several or most of your closest friends attend the Westside Church. Now that's a good thing, but growing out of that is another characteristic, and that is that Westside is an inwardly focused church. We do have a tight fellowship, we love each other, we care about each other, but we overdo it. Not in terms of, we don't overdo it in terms of each other, but we do that at times to the exclusion of those who are outside our walls. 80% of you said that we are more focused on our members than on the needs of those outside our walls. And in a question about our church identity, here are 3 of the 4 statements that have the lowest level of agreement. Okay? So I'm going to share with you 3 statements that there is broad disagreement with. We do a good job of ministering to people outside the church. It is easy for new people to assimilate into our church and ministries. And we're a church that treats matters like social inequities, prejudice, and poverty with great seriousness. So I would suggest that this is also a characteristic of the church. We tend to be a little bit too much inwardly focused. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. The next thing I want to mention as a characteristic is that Westside is a church with some contradictory characteristics. Which means that we got some work to do in being a unified body. Okay? Let me tell you one that I don't have a bullet point on the slide, but this I found interesting. On one of the questions that says, does Westside give good expression to its Church of Christ heritage, or is it hard to tell what kind of church it is? The overwhelming response was that Westside gives good expression to its heritage as a Church of Christ. But on another question, where you ask this list of questions to agree or disagree with, the bottom one, the one that you agreed with the least, was the one that says our church needs to identify more closely with Church of Christ traditions and thought patterns. So on one hand, you say, yes, we're a Church of Christ and we give good expression to our tradition as such. On the other hand, you're saying, we don't need to identify more strongly with Church of Christ traditions and thought patterns. What's up with that? Now, which one's up here sitting on which side of the story? Let me tell you what I make of that. I make of that, I grew up in the Church of Christ. I'm a lifer, like lots of you. I actually understand that. Here's what I understand about that. One of the things in our heritage that we value the most is that we do not want to conform to anyone's traditions. We want to be biblical. We don't want to conform to any set of traditions, even the traditions of our own heritage, if that conflicts in any way with being biblical. And so when you ask the question, do we need to conform more to our traditions of where we've been in the past, people who have the blood of the restoration movement flowing through them say, we don't want to conform to any tradition other than the Word of God. I get that contradiction. Here's another one. We have a strong sense of belonging, but remember that top response in one of those lists of agree disagree statements was, I have a strong sense of belonging. That's the one that you had the strongest agreement with, and we rejoice in that. Now let me give you a reality. Every church that I've worked with, that question has always scored the highest in terms of agreement. I'm going to tell you a story that explains why that is. In World War II, there was a general who was over a group of bombers, and he called his top brass together and he said, we're losing too many planes, so every time one of our bombers lands, we're going to note where all the bullet holes are that they've taken while they've been flying over enemy territory. And here's a master diagram of our bomber. We're going to chart out where all the bullet holes are. And when we find areas of the plane where there's a cluster of bullet holes, we're going to armor plate those areas on all our remaining planes. And it sounded good. One young lieutenant raised his hand and said, sir, wouldn't we want to armor plate all the areas that don't have any bullet holes? And the general says, whatever for? The lieutenant says, remember, sir, these are the planes that made it back. Demonstrating that these planes, our planes can take bullet holes here and still fly. We talk about strong response to, I have a strong sense of belonging here. Why is that? Partly because those who did not have a strong sense of belonging didn't take the survey. Why didn't they take the survey? They left. And there are, among those who are still here, there are some indications that not everyone shares that strong sense of belonging. There's a significant group who, when asked how many of your closest friends attend here, a significant group that said none. And when you add the people who said, well, I have maybe one of my closest friends who attends here, that's about a quarter of the congregation. And if you add on the people who say, well, I only have a few of my closest friends who attend, now you're up to about half the congregation. So there is some difference among us. Half of us feel like, man, I've got, this is where all my friends are, most of them are. But there's another half that says, no, not really. That's a contradiction. There's some contradictions in terms of our attitudes toward leadership. One of the statements, of the statements that describe your feelings about the congregation, one of the top responses was this one. I trust the wisdom and discernment of the leadership of our church. Very strong statement about our leadership. But, on another question, one of the statements that had the lowest level of agreement was, disagreements and conflicts are dealt with openly and honestly, rather than being hushed up or hidden behind closed doors. That sounds like you have a leadership that by and large, you respect, you believe that they are good men, but there is a feeling that you would like for their leadership to be a little more transparent, a little more open to the membership. There are some contradictions in levels of financial commitment. Half of you say that your giving is regular and either generous or sacrificial. But the other half of you say that your contribution is minimal. And that's your own characterization. I told you that on those 8 categories, levels of giving, the top one, that was the number 1 response. But the number 2 response was the very bottom category of people who give nothing or almost nothing over the course of the year. So there is a contradiction there. You have some very, very generous people who are supporting this church, but you have some others, and again, I know that some are in economic, and folks, listen to me. I am not bringing this up to try to lay any kind of guilt trip on anyone who is simply unable to support the work of this church financially. But I do believe, based on the survey, that there are some who are able to support the work of this church financially, but for whatever reason choose not to. And that is a cause for some concern. There's a contradiction in terms of participatory commitment. As I noted, 80% of you say that you are either committed members, core members, or leaders, but nearly half of you say that you seldom or never volunteer to serve disadvantaged people. The same percentage say that you seldom or never meet with a small group of Christians for prayer, study, and encouragement, and 40% of you say that you never share your faith with others. 30% of you say that you have not invited anyone to visit or join the church in the last year, and that an identical 30% say that it's unlikely that you will invite anyone to visit this church in the next year. And again, I think that is some cause for some concern and for some deeper digging as to why that is. There are some contradictions in terms of involvement. A third of you say that your involvement in the church has increased over the last few years, but there's a fourth of you who say that your involvement in the church has decreased over the last few years. Now, those of you who say that your involvement has increased give reasons such as you accepted a new role or responsibility, someone asked you for help, you developed stronger faith. By the way, let me give you a little sidebar here. Those of you who are in charge of ministries and who get face of putting notes in the bulletin saying we need help, we need volunteers, we sometimes stand up front and make public announcements and say we need help, we need volunteers. Of those who said their involvement in the church had increased, the top 2 answers for why that involvement increased was number 1, I accepted a new role or responsibility, and number 2 was someone asked me for help. So if you're leading a ministry, I would suggest that if you need help with that, the best thing you can do is the personal touch. Actually, go to someone face to face and say, I invite your help in my ministry, and I have a specific role and responsibility that I would like you to step into because I believe that God has gifted you for that task. I think that will go a long way toward getting help in your ministries. That's a little sidebar. That was free. I would charge you for that. Of those who said that your participation has decreased, you cited the top reasons as time pressures, increased family responsibilities, and more negative attitude toward the church. Now, how are we doing personally? There are some questions that had to do with your walk with God, how you're doing with that. But we are, for the most part, living our faith to the best of our ability. 3/4 of you say that since you began attending Westside, your faith has increased. That's good. 90% of you, and I'm excited about this, 90% of you say that people who don't go to church with you still know that you are serious about following Jesus. And 2/3 of you find it relatively easy to live out your faith in your daily work, leisure, and community life. We're a congregation that is committed to living our faith in front of those who are around us. How are we doing with spiritual disciplines? When it comes to prayer, 70% of you say that you pray on a daily basis. When we go from there to Bible reading, which is the next highest spiritual discipline, we go from 70% down to 1 out of 5. A fifth of you are daily Bible readers. Just telling it like it is, that can stand some improvement. When it comes to spiritual exercises that you engage in at least once a week, almost all of you say that you pray at least once a week. 3/4 of you say you read the Bible at least once a week. And a majority of you say you listen to Christian music at least once a week. But less than half of you engage in personal Bible study or meditation that often. And only 1 in 5 read Christian books on any kind of regular basis. The survey asked you to take a look inside about things you struggle with, difficulties that you face in your life, and sins that you have trouble overcoming. Aren't you glad it's an anonymous survey? But let me tell you, I think that you guys, I will commend you that by and large you were very honest in reporting the struggles that you face. And I think it's important for us to know the kinds of struggles we face, because typically we come to church and everyone dresses up really nice and everyone looks good, and we walk in and we're kind of falling apart because we know what we're struggling with. When we look around and say, I can't believe everybody else has their act together. Everyone else is happy and healthy and loving life and loving God. They don't have the struggles that I have, and I feel really out of place. That's just not true. There are a lot of struggles that are out there. Here are the ones that were mentioned the most. Impatience. These are the people who are praying on a regular basis. Dear Lord, give me patience, and give it to me right now. There are people who struggle, the second highest one, people who struggle with anxiety. Next one is depression, and then doubt. And folks, I think it's okay for us to be honest that you can be a strong and committed Christian who loves the Lord and who is going to heaven and whose place in heaven is secure, and you can still be struggling with some of these things. Amen? Can I get an amen? Amen. And can I get an amen to the idea that there is a God who is faithful and who will see us through every single one of these struggles? Amen. Now, among the struggles that you had, the ones that were least mentioned were these: same-sex attraction, divorce, legalism. I thought it was commendable that anyone mentioned legalism, because legalism is like bad breath. Everyone else knows you have it, but you never know. Okay? But some actually owned up to the fact, I have a struggle with legalism. And then inappropriate sexual behavior was another one of the ones that was down toward the bottom. There were some gender differences in the struggles. 25%, about 1 out of 4 of the men said that they struggled with lust and pornography. Almost none of the women said that. And I think about 1 out of 5 of the women said they struggled with gossip, and almost none of the men said that they struggled with it. As a man, I have to believe that, well, maybe more of us do, but we just use a different word for it. So there were some age differences, understandably. People in their 30s and 40s reported more struggles with doubt, with overspending and debt, and with marital problems than people in the older age groups. The survey asked for some reactions about worship. And you get a lot of things to react to. Things you do in worship, should we give this more emphasis? Should we give it less emphasis? Should it get about the same? And almost all of those activities, there was 60 to 70% of you who said, we need to keep it just about the same. There were 2 notable exceptions of activities that this congregation said, we need to emphasize these more. And those were public reading of Scripture and personal testimony. I would draw from that, I think there is a hunger in this body for a deeper, actual experience of God's presence within the assembly, and I think these are 2 things that we're looking for. Now, let me say a word about time. I expected this to go a little bit long today. I don't know if you did or not. We are going to go a little bit long. Might actually lap a little bit into class time, but I think that's okay. I think it's important for us to consider these things, especially since we're going to get to the hot button issue of the survey. There's a question that had to do with women's participation in the worship assembly. As you know, a couple of years ago, the elders here made a decision to make some positions of service available to women in the assembly that previously had not been and that typically are not available to women in many of our churches of Christ, namely serving the Lord's Supper and making public announcements about ministries that they lead or are involved with. The survey offered 5 responses to the level of women's participation in the assembly. First one was, I believe we are in violation of Scripture in the way that women participate in the assembly. The second one was, I do not believe we're violating Scripture, but I'm uncomfortable with the level of participation of women in the assembly. Third one, I am comfortable with and support the current level of participation of women in the assembly. Fourth one was, I would like to see women's participation in the assembly expanded. And the fifth one, we have a long way to go in using women appropriately in the assembly. Now, the first and the last responses both got a fairly small minority of responses. Not a whole lot of people chose either the top one or the bottom one. So if we group the top 2 together, and if we group the bottom 2 together, leaving that middle one there, we have basically 3 categories of responses. And if we put those 3 responses on a pie chart, it comes out almost 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, almost mathematically precisely that. There it is. Now, I'm going to give you some thoughts. These are my thoughts, in my opinion, take it as that. But this chart tells me why elders do not sleep well at night as they do. Because on this particular issue, no matter what they do, 2/3 of the church isn't going to like it. You get that? If you say, if the elders say, and again, leading the church is not about taking an opinion poll and going with the majority anyway. It's about seeking the will and the heart of God and doing what's best for the church. But having done that, there is a price that leadership pays, knowing that whatever we do, whichever course we believe is best that God is leading us into, 2/3 of the church is going to think, no, that's the wrong way to go. And that's just a reality. I'm going to give you a personal opinion as an outsider. And that is that if this issue is allowed to be the central focus of this church will suffer, and you can debate this issue all the way until you close the doors. Because this church, this one issue will not grow a church or build a great church. There has to be a higher priority. There has to be a deeper passion. There has to be a more broad and fulfilling and kingdom-honoring purpose than this one issue. Now, this issue is important. I'm not trying to belittle it. But it needs to be discussed in light of and as a subcategory of some bigger and higher priorities. And so I want to appeal to all of you to exercise some godly forbearance toward one another, to be as understanding as you possibly can be of the 2/3 of your fellow members who see it differently, understanding that many of those who see it differently than you do feel very strongly and passionate about their feelings on the matter. But somehow we have to allow the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace to trump our differences. We must learn to speak kindly and respectfully to and about one another. And if you are stuck on this issue, if this is something that is so front and center in your mind that you, every time you walk this building, that's about all you can think about, and everything that happens, all you can think about is, well, that's because of something that has to do with this issue, you need to go before God and say, Lord, can you get me unstuck? Because if we get stuck on this issue, this congregation will suffer and may even die. There are higher priorities that demand our attention. So let's talk about some of those. There's some needed areas of improvement. And the first one is the need for a greater outward focus. We need to restore our passion for outreach and evangelism. There's strong agreement in this congregation that the only hope for salvation is through faith in Jesus. And if we believe that, If we really believe that, then we ought to be heartbroken. There are so many people around us who have not yet come to faith in Jesus Christ. So many of our neighbors. And we need to be excited about the opportunity to demonstrate the love of God to them in both word and deed. Not only because this matters to the church, but because it's the right thing to do to express the heart of Jesus Christ. Now, here's the challenge in terms of being evangelistic. We asked you on one of the questions, is the Westside Church similar to or different from the people around it? Most of you said, we're pretty similar. I would say the survey says, no, we're quite different. As we said, we are older, we are whiter, we are more married, we are more educated, likely more economically affluent than the people around us. And which means that there are some barriers that are there that we have to overcome in order to communicate the gospel to people outside our walls. And then the fact that so many of us have ties in the Church of Christ, we are lifers. It means that we speak Church of Christ language very, very well, but we don't have a lot of experience in reaching people of other backgrounds, and that's a barrier that needs to be overcome. And so we need a greater outward focus that involves evangelism, but we also need a greater outward focus that involves serving the needs of people in the community. There is a generational difference here that I want to point out. When we ask the question, how many of you have shared your faith with someone who's non-Christian recently? More of the older members said they had than the younger members. When we ask the question, how many of you have volunteered your time serving the needs of people who are disadvantaged? More of the younger members have done that than the older. And then there's this question that we asked, we said, do you agree or disagree with this? Serving the needs of, or responding to people who have been treated unequally, and responding to racism, injustice, poverty, is at the heart of the gospel. Overwhelmingly, the younger generation says, oh yes, that's at the heart of the gospel. Older generations, we're not so sure that's at the heart of the gospel. And the younger people are saying, are you kidding me? That's just obvious. And the older people say, no. The older generation sees outreach primarily in terms of proclaiming a gospel message that helps people be free from sin and guilt. Younger generation tends to see the gospel more in terms of freeing people from the bonds of social injustice so that they know that there is a God who loves and cares about them that they can respond to. So which way should it be? Both. But I want to suggest to you that my understanding of the younger generation is that they feel so strongly about the gospel imperative to address social injustices that they are attracted to churches that make a commitment in that area. Now, and I think our younger generations get a bad rap sometimes. Sometimes older people say, well, the young people, they just want to be entertained and they just go wherever the best show in town is. I don't think that's true. I think that young people are hungry to invest in places where they believe that they're making a difference. And so, with that, I would like to go to the next major category where I think there's room for improvement, and that is we need to raise up and empower a new generation of leaders. On that question of how many of your closest friends attend the Westside Church, here's how it came out by age groups. The younger age groups had a smaller percentage of their closest friends who attend here. And it's just like scare sticks. It goes all the way up until when you get to the 75 and plus group. That group says 75% of our closest friends are members at Westside. Now, how do we deal with that? Does anyone notice anything wrong with this chart? Notice anything wrong with it? I left out an age group. I did not include the 19 to 24-year-olds. Let's put them in. Whoa. The 19 to 24-year-olds say, no, 85% of our closest friends are members of this church. Church, we need to find out what's in their communion juice and we need to all drink it. Whatever they're doing something right. That needs to be encouraged. And I would suggest that among our younger generations, we need to be raising up and empowering new leaders. What happens over a period of time with a church like Westside is that our ministries get organized, we have people in charge of the ministries, and they're together for a long time, and we say that we'd like to have younger people involved, but what we really mean is we'd like to have younger people involved as our helpers. We don't really mean we want them involved in terms of we're going to turn it over to them and let them lead. If you are in charge of a work or a ministry here, I want to challenge you to say, you need to find some younger people that you can begin to train and mentor and hand leadership over to. This church needs to raise up new leaders. Now, that leads us again. I know we're over time, but one last thing we've got to talk about, because we're looking for a new minister, right? And we asked you what kind of guy are we looking for, and you told us. We gave you several roles to choose from. Here are the ones that came up most importantly. Top response, we need a visionary leader, someone who understands the vision and mission of the church, excites members about participation in that vision and mission, and leads the church to effectively accomplish its vision and mission. That came out number one. Number two, you said we need a prophet, someone who is fearless in speaking the truth both to the church and the world, willing to confront, exhort, and even rebuke, able and ready to speak the truth in love. Your third answer, we need someone who is a minister of the word or a teacher, finds primary fulfillment in preaching and teaching, and serves the congregation with strong education emphasis. And your fourth one was a witness evangelist who focuses on ministry, sharing the gospel with those inside and outside the church, and developing the church as evangelistic witnesses as a primary task. We asked you about the minister's personality. Here were your top responses. We want an extrovert, not an introvert. Okay? We want someone who is creative, which means he welcomes new approaches, not conventional. Someone who advocates for the way things have usually been done. Did you hear that? Okay. Third response, we want someone who has a relaxed relational style, not formal. Your fourth response, we want someone who pursues mission even if some are offended, instead of postponing mission in order to keep the peace. And then we asked you for the skills and character qualities that were essential or very important in a new minister. Here are your top responses. You said we need someone who is an effective preacher and speaker. That was number one. Number two, we want a compassionate and caring person. Number three, we want someone who is an effective and cooperative partner with our elders. In other words, a team player. Number four, we want someone who's an effective and motivational teacher. Number five, we want someone who encourages people to relate their faith to everyday life. Number six, we want someone who deals effectively with conflict. And number seven, again, we want a strong, visionary leader. Now let me tell you, all of these together, that's a tall order. Speaking of contradictions, folks, you want a visionary thinker with a prophetic voice who's an extrovert with a relaxed interpersonal style. God didn't make very many packages that looked like that. He made some, and you may find one. You're asking for someone who's compassionate, but who pursues the church's mission, even if some are offended. And those don't travel together very well. So the task that our search team has and our elders have is to find the very best mix of these qualities and to find the best fit. And that's why it's so important for you to keep praying for that process. Survey says that Westside Church of Christ is a good and a strong and a Christ-honoring church with dedicated members. And I believe that, and I'm proud to be associated with you in this task. But as it turns out, whatever we say in the survey is not the final word on anything. Here's the question. If Jesus had filled out one of the surveys, what would he have said? And my prayer is that we can get to the place where Jesus could say of us what he said about the church in Revelation 2. I know your deeds, your hard work, and your perseverance. You have persevered and have endured hardships for my name, and have not grown weary. May God empower us to live up to that ideal. I appreciate your patience. This has taken quite a bit of time. I appreciate your patience in listening through this. And we're going to close now with our song of response and ask you to make your responses known as we stand and sing this song together.